with the high temps topping out at 56. Thanksgiving Day will be warmer with a mix of sunshine and clouds and a high hitting 65. Slight 20% chance of a Friday morning shower. Bundle up. I'm Brian Leonard with your on point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
Ooh, I like when you press that one.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on sportstalksc.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk here on Sports Talk Media Network. It is a Talking Tuesday, once again, the Talking Tuesday edition of Sports Talk here on the big week, brought to you by Touchstone Energy. Visit touchstoneenergy.com to find your local co-op, proud sponsor of the Touchstone Energy North-South football game and Mr. Football in South Carolina. All that coming up on December 11th. More on that to come in the weeks ahead, as we'll be in Myrtle Beach broadcasting the game for you. Got a great list of stations coming together to carry the Touchstone Energy Bowl. Looking forward to that. Welcome in to Sports Talk on this Talking Tuesday. Phil Kornbluth and Pat Daniel here in Columbia. I went up to Clemson today, and Smitty covered the Gamecocks in Columbia. We'll hear from Sweeney and Beamer, a true love fest. I mean, an absolute drippy, smoochy love fest between these two. You're not going to have any issues. I mean, they're going to be competitors, and they're going to want to cut each other's throat on the football field. But they are very good friends. They're friends with each other's families. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's where we are today in America. We've moved in that direction. We've become softies in a lot of ways, and it's filtered down into football. No longer do you have head coaches who will spew venom at one another, hardly. Maybe occasionally, but not like the old days when coaches would really take shots at one another, I think. Maybe if the occasion arose. But between these two, and I jest, of course, there's nothing wrong with this, a great deal of respect showed both ways by the two head coaches. They just want to go out and play a hard football game, a hard-fought football game, and see, which team is more talented, top to bottom, which team is more well-prepared, which team is better coached, et cetera, coming up Saturday night in Columbia. So we'll hear from both coaches tonight here on Sports Talk, and many more of your phone calls. Let's go ahead and get right to your phone calls. Love to hear from you. Get more of your predictions. The predictions that came through last night were both in favor. The two that I recall, they were in favor of Clemson. So let's see if we get some Gamecock fans willing to step up to the plate and put their voices on the line to say that South Carolina is going to beat Clemson as an 11.5-point underdog. Of course, our poll question of the week is still active. We're at 516 votes at this point. You've got a chance to hop on there and vote if you haven't already. It's pretty tight. 38.8% see USC winning close. 32.6% see Clemson winning close. 22.1% see Clemson by a lot. So in terms of who's going to win, majority says Clemson will win. About 57% lean to Clemson winning. 6.6% have the Gamecocks winning by a lot. So if you haven't had a chance to vote yet, please do so on our Twitter at SportsTalkSC, or you can access it at our website, SportsTalkSC.com. Also, I want to remind you right off the top that I know many of you will be heading out of town. Frank Howard once said, only good thing coming out of Columbia is I-26 going west. But you know what? I came back into Columbia on I-26 going east and saw what was going on I-26 going west. There ain't nothing good coming out of Columbia on I-26 in either direction. Man, with that construction on I-26 up around Pomeria and Little Mountain and all up in there, if you're thinking about coming through, make plans because traffic is an absolute bear out there today. And I imagine it'll be even worse tomorrow and then after Thanksgiving. So keep that in mind as you're traveling around. So we'll take your phone calls, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery, lucky number here on Sports Talk. Love to hear from you and get your thoughts on the game and how you think things are going to play out. We've got basketball tonight. You've got South Carolina at home taking on the Wofford Terriers. Should be a good ball game. As we know, Wofford is a really, really good team. They're not to be taken for granted by anybody, and they will come into the Colonial Life Arena seeking to give the Gamecocks everything that they can handle. Remember, not too long ago, they played Clemson, really close game up at Littlejohn. So we've got that game tonight, among others, that we'll talk about as we keep an eye on the college basketball scoreboard for you tonight. We'll have some recruiting information for you as well, update some other notes from around the state and around the country for you today also. And as far as the two press conferences go, just to hit a couple of the highlights from Dabo Swinney, I guess the only little piece of news was that he said Joseph Ngata is definitely out for the South Carolina game. That really, he wasn't expected back, I don't believe, but he confirmed it. E.J. Williams is day-to-day. He was with the trainers in practice yesterday, I guess trying to, get right. And it's not known yet if he will play. Otherwise, that's it on the injury front for those who've not been ruled out for Clemson. Shane Beamer said that his guys, except for those who are ruled out, his guys are very healthy, ready to go, did not suffer any major new issues with injuries coming out of the Auburn game. Cam Smith's injury, not serious, and he's ready to go. He's going to be able to play. And Xavier Legette is still, I think he's kind of iffy after hitting his head on the turf. That's the one that they're still kind of waiting on there. Outside of that, I mean, it was just a lot of praise both ways by the two head coaches about the others' team, and also, just talking about the excitement of having the rivalry back because it was missed last year. Shouldn't have been, but it was. And of course, Shane Beamer wasn't here last year. Swinney was, and he missed it. And of course, they missed having the game up at Clemson. They're having to go, in terms of playing the games, back-to-back years in Columbia. As I mentioned last night, first time since 58-59 that they've done that. They'll get back to the regular, well, they're on the regular rotation now. Clemson will have it up in 22 up at Death Valley. So we'll let you hear from the coaches coming up. But for the next little while, hour or so, love to hear from you. 888-898-2525. That is our phone number, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Did you know that since 2002, more than $2.2 billion in lottery proceeds have been used to fund life scholarships for the state's college-bound students? Learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at sceducation.lottery.com/education wins, and playing for fun is a win for education. All right. Let's go to Bruce in Columbia. All right, Bruce, first up tonight with us here on Sports Talk. Welcome in.
Well, thank you, Phil, for taking my call tonight. Just want to say congratulations to Clemson for winning their game against a ranked team, and Carolina Gamecocks winning their game with a ranked team, and also Gray Collegiate winning their game with an overranked team. Abbeville got beat by them. Now, y'all haven't taken in consideration with all these winning of these lower-ranked teams of the full moon syndrome.
Okay.
Now, the full moon has this power, and it can switch things around quite abruptly. And that lasts about 3 days, maybe 4 days. But on top of that, we had an eclipse. So you got a 10-day period of an effect of that full moon, which will include the game between Clemson and Carolina. Now, you hear things, how weird things happen in the full moon. Well, the Abbeville game, Abbeville was running down the field pretty nicely. They get to the 10-yard line or the 5-yard line and fumble the ball. And after the first touchdown, the extra point, now this kicker is the coach's son, and he's kicking almost 50-yard field goals and don't miss. Well, when he kicked the ball, it hit the crossbar and bounced back. So they didn't make that field goal. But that was the part of it. At the end of the game now in Abbeville and Gray Collegiate, I'm listening to the radio broadcast, and midway through the fourth quarter, there was a racket in the booth with the announcers for the Abbeville High School, and this guy was raising Cain about what the announcers were saying about Gray Collegiate football, team members, and you need to stop this and all this. He was just yelling at the top of his lungs. They tried to get him out. It was a coach from Gray Collegiate came into the booth and was yelling at the announcers of Abbeville High School. And while they were doing, the Abbeville announcers were asking, well, where did they get so-and-so from? And in fact, one of the guys was from Batesburg-Leesville, one of the quarterbacks. And they were talking about how good he was when they saw him earlier, a year ago or 2 years ago, when Abbeville played him, and he was a great quarterback, and he's going to do it here too. So anyway, but then after they got him out, about 5 minutes later, here comes another coach raising Cain about the announcers and what they're saying about their players. Now, this is the effect of the full moon. So I'm not trying to be, a woo-woo guy, but these things do happen. But, Phil, I appreciate you taking my call and putting up with me, and have a good night.
All right, thank you. Full moon. Yeah, we had a harvest moon too, right? Isn't the harvest moon when you see the moon during the daytime? You see it out there during the daytime? That's a harvest moon, right? I don't know. I'm not a farmer, but I think that's what they call it. Hey, thank you for your phone call. Yeah, the full moon can affect people in a lot of weird ways. I heard the same story about that. I guess, look, schools like Gray Collegiate, Oceanside, Legion Collegiate, as they pop up around the state, I guess, what are they, charter schools? I guess is what they call them. They get players from different towns, different communities. It's legal. Is there recruiting going on? What do you think? They do get the players, but then again, Dutch Fork gets players to come in from other schools. The transfer deal in high school is very active. Be right back after the break.
The Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl is back for 2021, showcasing the best South Carolina high school football has to offer. Get your tickets now at TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com and make plans to join us in Myrtle Beach on December 11th in celebration of Palmetto State All-Stars from the Upstate, Midlands, PD, Grand Strand, and Low Country. Visit TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com for a full schedule of the week's events leading up to the game and Mr. Football South Carolina award presentation.
Hunter Helms in at quarterback, drops straight back in the end zone, fires deep. He's got a receiver up the seam. 45, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown for Omarion Dollison.
That's the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl kicking off at Myrtle Beach High School's Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium, 12:30 Saturday, December 11th. Get your tickets now at TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com.
The Southeastern Institute of Manufacturing and Technology, known as SIMT, is ready to meet your 3D printing, machining, and social media listening needs. Our list of clients includes business and industrial partners from around the state, the nation, and the globe. In addition, we are providing social media listening services to a variety of businesses and educational institutions, from large companies to law firms to small school districts. SIMT also rents space for training, conferences, and trade shows. Catering services are available for events being held at the SIMT. We are dedicated to customer service and look forward to serving you. Check us out on the web at simt.com to see a full list of our manufacturing services, or give us a call at 843-413-2740.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
Talking Tuesday here on Sports Talk Media Network. Carolina, Clemson, Carolina week, depending on how you look at it. Phone number 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. What I was going to say a little while ago when I got off of my Frank Howard tangent on I-26, as you're heading out of town, of course, you may leave the area where you can get us from one of our affiliates around the state. It's understandable, but you can still stay with us wherever you happen to be. We've got our streams going on Twitter at Sports Talk SC, on YouTube, and of course on our Facebook pages, our YouTube channel and our Facebook pages, Sports Talk Media Network. You can listen to us there. You can watch us. We also have a audio stream on our website, sportstalksc.com. Just go to the top of the page, click on the link where it says listen to Sports Talk stream. It'll take you right to us. So you can always catch us if you lose us from one of our stations across the state. Phone number 888-898-2525. You can join in on the program right now, talking about South Carolina and Clemson and breaking things down, looking ahead to the big game coming up on Saturday night in Columbia. I tell you, listening to both coaches today, it's they'll confuse you. They'll mess up your mind if you think you've got an idea who's going to win. All the things that Dabo Swinney said about South Carolina and how good Jason Brown has looked to him, how the running game has looked very strong, how their receivers, how Josh Vann has impressed him, how he's been impressed with South Carolina's defense. He doesn't know names. He knows numbers. Coaches don't know names of other players on other teams. They know numbers. J.J. Inabare's impressed him. Of course, the play of the Gamecock defensive front has impressed him. The secondary, the way they've covered in the secondary, that's impressed him. Thinks the Gamecocks have a solid offensive front. The way they've run the football, he was really impressed with how South Carolina has outscored opponents in the fourth quarter, showing that this team never quit. And I'll tell you what else really impressed him. And I go back and I mentioned this on Sports Talk after it happened, after coming back from College Station and the Texas A&M game. And it was kind of a meaningless point in the ball game. Remember, the Gamecocks were getting beat badly by Texas A&M, but Jason Brown went out in the fourth quarter and directed a couple of touchdown drives. Swinney caught that on tape. I mean, the fact that in a game that's lost, Brown's out there playing hard, and the team was out there playing hard, even though they were playing the backups mostly for Texas A&M, and went out there and put a couple of touchdowns on the board. That's little things that coaches they look at that and they go, yeah, that guy's, he's got something there. He's got something there. And he feels like from the Tennessee game that the South Carolina defense has really improved, that they settled in, kind of have their identity now as a defense, and they've played much better since that Tennessee game. And, of course, from a Beamer standpoint, he knows the Clemson legacy. He knows their level of talent, their recent history. And even though they've lost more games than normal this year, he believes they are a high-caliber championship-level team that's going to play hard and give South Carolina everything it can handle on Saturday, and they've got to play really good football. A big part of this will be turnovers. As Sweeney pointed out answering a question today, in the 5-game losing streak that they suffered through, they turned it over 15 times, including 6 times in the 2013 loss. Of course, beginning in 14, when they put together what's now a 6-game winning streak, the games have been basically so one-sided that turnovers didn't really matter. Clemson just went out and took it to the Gamecocks. So turnovers, if this game's going to be, within a 10 or 14-point range, which I think it will be, and turnovers are going to be a factor. If one team can force the other team into costly turnovers, short field, maybe even have the defense score points off turnovers, that's going to be huge. All right, 888-898-2525. Let's get the phones rolling once again. We go to William on the Ace Basin. William, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Good morning. Good afternoon, Bill.
And good night. Yes, sir.
Hey, you kind of caught me in a dead zone here. I don't know if you're going to be able to catch me or not, but you know what? You and I are both alive. I remember before the season started, projected on Carolina.
You're dropping in and out like your fishing line there. Hello, William. Give us a call back when you got a little better cell connection because you're gone. You're in cell hell, as we like to call it. But I think you were going to say something about maybe preseason projections. It was William one who called up and said the Gamecocks could have a successful season, maybe win 6 or 7 games. You do realize, theoretically, it's possible for the Gamecocks to win 8 games now. You realize that? Theoretically. I mean, they're sitting on 6. Beat Clemson, you're at 7. Go win your bowl game, you got 8. Can you imagine that if they end up with 8 wins, how crazy this town will be, how crazy that university will be for the first year? And then you got to go build on it. Even if they lose to Clemson, but can win the bowl game to finish 7-6 with a winning record. Be fantastic. And then you got to go build on it. Penn State football coach James Franklin agreed to a new 10-year contract that will guarantee him $75 million at least $75 million through 2031. Okay. ATMing Penn State because his name's been out there about Southern Cal and other places. Is he a great coach? A good coach. He's a good coach. I mean, I guess if you do what he did at Vanderbilt, that shows quality. Has he been great at Penn State? He hadn't gotten them to the playoffs. They've been competitive, I think they went to the Rose Bowl. Didn't they go to the Rose Bowl one year under him? I'd have to look that up. I don't know if I'd put him in the category. Maybe I'm wrong.
They did, Corn. They back in 2016, Penn State went 11-3, and they lost in the Rose Bowl, but they did make it. Let's see who they lost to.
That's okay. I guess the problem is I'm caught up in the playoff madness, and if you don't make the playoffs, you're not any good. I shouldn't look at it that way. I'm sure that paying him $75 million over 10 years is worth it to Penn State. Back to the phones. Is that William back with us? Okay, William, we're back with you. Go ahead, please.
I guess I should start over. I think you and I projected at the beginning of the season that Carolina had a good chance to win 6. Outside chance to win 7. We're still alive. I did not expect this to have this opportunity in this fashion, but we still have our opportunity.
And you're here to crow about it?
No, not necessarily. I'm here just wishing for a well-played game Saturday night.
Oh, give me a prediction. I need a prediction. Give me your prediction.
Prediction, I've not stopped from the very third game of the year, I projected South Carolina to win this game, so I'm not backing off of that. It's going to be by a matter of points, 1, 2, or 3, because I got a feeling maybe if we are in the game, last minute field goal, we got the man for that.
Parker White, can he make a 53-yarder to win?
I don't see why he can't. He's already done it before.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. That'd be a good question. If you had to have a last-second field goal to win the game, which kicker would you want, White or Potter?
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. A hard freeze overnight with very cold temps. A low dipping to 27 tomorrow. Chilly but sunny with the high temps topping out at 56. Thanksgiving Day will be warmer with a mix of sunshine and clouds at a high hitting 65. A slight 20% chance of a Friday morning shower. Bundle up. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row. It's quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
With SRN News, I'm Jason Walker. Prosecutors in Wisconsin charging Daryl Brooks Jr. with intentional homicide in the deaths of 5 people who were killed when an SUV was driven into that Christmas parade Sunday. Dozens injured, including many children. And now officials say a 6th person, a child, has died and more charges are pending. President Biden ordering 50 million barrels of oil released from America's strategic reserve to helpfully bring down the energy cost. The action is aimed at global energy markets and also to help Americans who are coping with higher inflation and rising prices ahead of Thanksgiving and winter holiday travel. Wall Street Tuesday, the Dow was up 195 points. On the tech side for the day, the NASDAQ dropped 79. This is SRN News.
Oh man, storm's coming. I need to be prepared. Where's my phone? Oh, there it is. All right, here's the Dominion Energy app with Face ID, and I am ready to go. That's right, folks. If those South Carolina storms hit, the new Dominion Energy mobile app is a must-have. So easy to use and convenient to have around. It's not just for power outages. With this app, you have instant access to all of your energy usage, too. Pretty cool stuff. Take it from me. Be prepared this season and download it today.
Every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on The Point, join me, Chad Jordan, and my co-host Larry Jordan for the Palmetto Real Estate Pros. We'll help you out whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just learn all things real estate every Friday right here at 100.7 The Point.
Everyone knows that here at The Point, we are all about supporting local businesses. We are all about local, local, local. You cannot get more local than my friend Greg McCoy and his business, Simplified Mortgage Solutions. Fran Halloran here. If you're buying a home or you're looking to refinance your current home, you owe it to yourself to call Greg. He is the real deal. You can expect Greg to treat you like you are his only client. You can expect Greg to scour the market to find you the best rate available. You can expect Greg to charge you a fair price for his work and his service. Why would you deal with some national company headquartered in who knows where when you can do business with Greg? Need further persuasion? Okay, I didn't even mention the good Greg does in our community by supporting local charities like Blue Star Mothers and Camp Chemo. Come on, you need to call Greg. Online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com, or you can call Greg at 803-722-6044. That's 722-6044.
Keep fighting the spread. Wear your face mask. Stay 6 feet apart. And get vaccinated. Join us and fight the spread. Visit scdheck.gov/vaxfax.
Kevin Cohen here with Tim Hanberry from Medicare Blueprint. So, Tim, it is open enrollment now for Medicare. How does that impact our listeners at The Point?
Well, Kevin, now's the time for you to review your Medicare Advantage plan because they can and do change each year. You'll need to make sure that your prescriptions are still covered and at what cost. So what should you do? First, give us a call. We'll ask you a few questions. We'll find out what your prescriptions are and what doctors you see. Then we'll find the best plan for you. We'll do all the work for you. We'll even make sure to show you all the additional benefits you're entitled to.
Yeah, listen, I called Tim and his team, and it's just like he says. We've cut our healthcare costs considerably. So don't waste time. Don't waste this opportunity during open enrollment. Give Tim a call at Medicare Blueprint, 803-708-7405, or find him online at MedicareBlueprint.com. That's 708-7405 or MedicareBlueprint.com.
All right, back we are on Sports Talk on this Talking Tuesday, 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. We are joined by our Bahama Mama, who apparently is taking up residence in the Bahamas, paying taxes, and who knows what else he's doing down there. Chris Bergen, live from the Bahamas. You're finally going to play a basketball game tonight with Coastal.
How about that? And I actually have some disappointing news. I joke, of course, because COVID not a joking matter, but I had to take my COVID test earlier today to be able to get back into the United States, and unfortunately I passed.
Oh.
I was negative, so I can come back home on Thursday when we leave. But yeah, tonight, Coastal finally getting a chance to play. The tournament changed considerably when Abilene Christian had to bow out because of COVID-19, so it turned into a 7-team tournament, and they had to reseed in the lower half of the bracket. Coastal actually was the highest rated, I think, net team of the lower half. So the Chanticleers got a bye last night. They'll actually play the team they were scheduled to play on Monday had the tournament gone off without a hitch in Valparaiso, who beat Jacksonville State last night. And that'll be the second semifinal coming up at 8 o'clock tonight. The first one right now going on is Toledo taking on Tulane. And they are at halftime here. And if I had a scoreboard handy, I could tell you I'm actually set up opposite the benches, Phil, but that's also where the scoreboard is, and it faces the other way. So I actually have access to a television feed, but all they're showing right now is the tournament logo. So I went out right before halftime, so I'm not quite sure what the score is right now, but I'll give you an update shortly.
Why do I get the feeling that this event is the junior varsity event compared to the women's event, the Battle for Atlantis, the first women's championship tournament there in the Bahamas? I looked like they were playing in a nice big arena. You're playing in a hotel ballroom.
We are. Imagine going to a real nice fancy dinner, a prom, a wedding reception, any of that type stuff in a ballroom at a hotel. That's exactly the setup here. And I told you last night on the program, because of the severe thunderstorms that rolled through here yesterday afternoon, the floor leaked, or actually the roof leaked onto the floor, and they had to move the games over to the practice court last night. They finished the game that was interrupted and then played the Valparaiso-Jacksonville State game last night starting at about 8:30. And so both of those games were over at the practice court, and pretty much everybody just was standing around the court watching the game. It was a bizarre setup, but fortunately they've come back over to the main court, if you will, and that's preferably and hopefully where the remainder of the tournament will go. And of course, two things. We're still on 800 watch for Cliff Ellis. Should Coastal win tonight, it will be his 800th Division I coaching victory. And also some interesting news. Coastal would have had a chance had Jacksonville State won last night, Phil, to be probably the only team in the country as a Rooster mascot to play the other two Rooster mascots in the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State. And then, of course, on December 1st, they host South Carolina in Conway.
Gamecock after Chanticleer. That's great. Now, wait a minute. If I know Cliff, he's counting that forfeit the other night as that 800th win, isn't he? I mean, come on.
I don't think he's going to get that one past the NCAA. He's tried, but yeah, I'm not sure he's getting that one past. So no, he's ready to get after it. And I know because I asked him in the pregame show prior to the Wellington game about win number 800, and he played it off, says he's tired of talking about it. So I'm sure he's looking forward to getting this passed. And it's going to be a tough challenge for them tonight. You were talking about South Carolina Wofford. Should be a pretty good ball game up in Columbia tonight. I think this one will be too, because what Valparaiso is going to bring to the table are two extremely talented big men, and Coastal may have to go a little bit bigger
Talking Tuesday, we'll be hearing from the coaches coming up. Want to open up the phone lines once again. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525 is how you can reach us here on the program. Had some folks drop off, so the lines are open. You can get right through. Love to hear from you and continue with the predictions for the game. So, Chris, as we look ahead to South Carolina Clemson, heard from Dabo Sweeney in person. Smitty covered Shane Beamer. I've listened to his comments. As I was saying earlier, both head coaches showing a lot of respect. And I tell you, it just took a win, a win over Florida, and then the loss to Missouri, of course, but then the win over Auburn. Winning heals all wounds. And, I mean, the feeling now around the South Carolina football program from listening to Beamer and Sweeney's take as well, I mean, he sees a football team that's really good in a lot of areas that can cause his team, Sweeney, cause his team a lot of different issues on Saturday night. I still, have to look at things from a, what's the word I'm looking for? Look at things from a non-emotional standpoint. I mean, both head coaches are emotional about things. I still see a South Carolina team that had only 300 yards of offense against Auburn. They did run the ball pretty well at times. They benefited from a short field once to get a touchdown. They had a couple of nice touchdown drives. Played good defense after falling behind 14-0. I mean, I don't think everything's been healed with the USC football team by virtue over that win over Auburn. But I think from a psychological standpoint, they probably feel like they are a better team than they are. And sometimes you'll play a little bit higher level if you just think you're better.
I don't think there's any question about that, and I'm not so sure that's a bad thing if you're South Carolina, because if you line up talent for talent, recruiting class for recruiting class, man on man across the board, Clemson is the more talented team. And Dabo Sweeney and his staff are not going to make the same mistakes, I would not think, that Brian Harston and his staff did while giving South Carolina a short field on a ridiculous decision on their end of the field to go for it on fourth down when they still had some momentum in that ball game, and that totally flipped the script on Saturday to allow the Gamecocks to come back and ultimately win that ball game. So you're not going to probably get the help that you may have gotten from Auburn. That said, shouldn't take anything away from where South Carolina is right now. And if they win, lose, or draw on Saturday, this season is already a success for them. Because outside of you, as we joked last night, Phil, I don't know how many people believe they could win 6 games and get bowl eligible, considering the program where it was that Shane Beamer inherited. But I thought he said something really, really interesting after the game on Saturday. He said in his first meeting with the returnees, the super seniors, this was not a rebuild. We are going to try and win now because it's not fair to you super seniors to try and start rebuilding and overloading and overhauling the program. We want to send you out on a positive note, and they've done that. Now, what they do from now moving forward, if they beat Clemson, the season is made. I think the season already is a success. I can't imagine what it would be like around that program if they pulled the upset on Saturday.
No, absolutely. William from the Ace Basin just called a little while ago to remind us that he predicted 6 or 7 wins as well.
Nice.
And he sees the Gamecocks winning. Now, look, Clemson, 3-game winning streak going on, and a nice win over Wake Forest, a dominant win over Wake Forest. But I still think from an offensive standpoint, Clemson still has some issues. They got the running game going big time against Wake Forest. Wake Forest going into that game was not very good against the run, and it showed. I think South Carolina's better defensively against the run than Wake Forest. And then Uyangalele, who probably had his best game as a starter at Clemson, a regular starter, not counting the Notre Dame game of last year, maybe even the BC game, but this year certainly his best game. And he made some good throws, but he had his share of misses once again. And I think if you're South Carolina, Chris, you look at that tape of the Wake Forest game and you see that he locks on to Bo Collins, and that's only natural because that's a high school teammate. Isn't it funny? You got 2 quarterbacks who have former high school teammates, and in the case of Jason Brown, a guy that was also his teammate at St. Francis, he doesn't lock on to E.J. Jenkins nearly as much as Uyangalele locks on to Bo Collins, and because Josh Vann is the go-to guy for South Carolina's receivers. So if you're if you're Clayton White and you look at that, you go, well, should we double team? Should we kind of shade our defense toward Bo Collins? Let's see if we can take him away and make Uyangale, be forced to go look at some of these other receivers, which, it might include a Will Sweeney out there starting because, Sweeney said today they played without 7 scholarship receivers against Wake Forest. Their receiver depth has really taken a hit.
Well, and I think if you're South Carolina and Clayton White in particular, we talked a little bit last night about what you would expect offensively from Brent Venables, and he does such a masterful job of setting up the defensive side of the coin for Clemson. I'm not sure you can prepare, and I think Shane Beamer said it as much in his press conference today. You can't really prepare for everything that Venables is going to throw at you. I think, though, if you're Clayton White, you've actually had a pretty good setup for this ball game, the way Clemson has turned into more of a run-heavy offense than it was maybe early in the year when they were trying to get DJ going with the passing game and had the full complement of wide receivers. You go back to the Florida game. Florida came in as one of the best rushing teams in the country. South Carolina shut them down. You went up to Missouri. You faced another team that could run it extremely well with Beatty. South Carolina had trouble the entire ball game stopping the run. And then you get Tank Bigsby last week in Auburn, and I guess the Gamecocks did an okay job, well enough to get the win. Phil, I think you try and figure out if you can sort of piecemeal the game plan from Florida, Missouri, and also Auburn, take the best parts of that and say, all right, Clemson, we're still not sold on whether or not DJ is going to beat us down the field. We are not going to allow Will Shipley and the running game and and Pace and those guys to beat us on the ground. You're going to have to prove that you can throw it over our heads. And it didn't work against Florida. And for the most part, it didn't work against Auburn.
Well, let me say this about Auburn. You got Tank Bigsby. He rushes for 164 yards on 22 carries. They obviously didn't look at the Missouri film and see how Beatty got stronger and stronger and stronger, and the Gamecock defense got weaker and weaker against him as that game wore on. Mike Bobo, I don't know what he was thinking, but it's a crime that Bigsby didn't carry the ball 30, 35 times. He would have had a 200-yard rushing game as well. The Gamecocks have, in the 2 years that Bigsby has played at Auburn against South Carolina, they haven't really stopped him yet. I have to go back and look and see what he had the previous year, but I think it was a big number as well. So my point is, what are you thinking, Mike Bobo? I mean, seriously, you got a hot running back. 22 carries is a light load, and Bigsby wanted the ball more, especially on that 4th down play that got stuffed. He was pissed off they didn't give him the football.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Mike Bobo, and something happens to him when he gets inside Williams-Brice Stadium. He almost loses his bearings as to what he's supposed to do on the offensive side of the coin. You'll remember, I think one thing that's going to haunt his career is you think back to when he was at Georgia and had, Torrey Gurley when he was there, and they had a chance to pound it inside against the Gamecocks inside the 5-yard line. They tried to throw it, and they ultimately lost that ball game. It's been many, many years ago. I may not have the sequence correct, but it's somewhere in that neighborhood. Same thing here. I mean, you're running the ball extremely well. Just stick with your bell cow. I think coaches sometimes they get too enamored with trying to be balanced when they're doing one thing extremely well. Stick with what works. It doesn't seem like football's that complicated a game.
No, I got a feeling Tony Elliott, if he gets it rolling with his running backs against South Carolina, they're going to stick with the running game, and I think South Carolina is going to do the same thing. I think the team that can get the running game going and stick with it, because you don't want to expose these quarterbacks into situations where they're going to make turnovers. Team that can get that running back going, going to be the team that's going to get the running game going, be the team that's going to win the ball game. 888-898-2525 is our number. Where are we going, Pat? Because I don't have my sheet open in front of me.
So next, we're going to be going down to the Low Country and visiting with Ron in Charleston.
All right, Ron, welcome to Sports Talk. How are you?
Great. So how about yourself?
We're doing great. Thank you for calling.
Thanks. So I just wanted to make a little comparison to, if you look back at the preseason before the season started, what the expectations were for both these teams. Clemson, everybody knows they were expected to go to the playoffs, possibly play for the national championship. South Carolina was expected to hopefully win 4 games, maybe more if they got lucky. So if you look at the 2 programs now, I mean, if you're a Clemson fan, I don't care if they go undefeated or win the rest of the games. They had a disappointing season. On the other hand, South Carolina, I mean, nobody expected them to be right here. If they don't win another game, they've had a successful season. So, I mean, I hear all the Clemson fans talking a lot of smack, But I mean, bottom line is Clemson has underachieved. They've done less with more. South Carolina's done more with less. So, I mean, bottom line, South Carolina's had a more successful season if you look at the preseason expectations of both teams.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. But I think that's an annual thing at Clemson now. I mean, they're at the point where it's playoffs or bust in terms of what makes a good season at Clemson, and that's where their bar is set now. And I think and they will proudly accept that. They will proudly say a 9 or 10 win season, but no playoff is a disappointment to them. Absolutely, I think you're exactly right.
Right.
South Carolina would love to have that kind of realistic expectation. That's where they've got to get to. South Carolina has got to get past the point where winning season and a bowl trip is considered, some monumental achievement. Now, for this year's team, from where the program was, yes, it would be. But that's only going to last this year. Next year, it'll have to be more, and then
I agree.
As time progresses. But yeah, you're absolutely right. This is they'll smile. Dabo will smile, but I think he'll be truthful when he analyzes this year. If they finish with 9 or 10 wins, whatever it happens to be, or 8 wins, whatever it happens to be, this team is good year, but it wasn't the year that they achieved, that they strive for and expect to have now every year up there.
Right now, so if you're honest on a South Carolina fan, you got to say Clemson got the better program, they've got the better team right now. Okay, but I think once again, South Carolina has done more with the talent they've had. They've had a lot of luck on this side, and playing at home, they've got a lot of turnovers this year. Who knows?
Yeah,
they might pull the upset.
They've been very good at home. 5-1 could have been 6-0 had they been able to defeat Kentucky. Thank you for your phone call. Excellent points. Agree with what you're saying. You said you had some breaking news. You want to share it real quick, and then we'll go to the break?
Yeah, sorry about that, Corn. Yeah, we have a developing story or breaking story out of Orangeburg, South Carolina. Exciting news for longtime friend of the program, Buddy Pugh, who has been named the Meac Coach of the Year for the second year in a row.
Congratulations.
The Bulldogs also had 5 players named to the first team All-Meac team leading the conference. Those were all on defense. Defensive lineman Jablonski Green, linebackers Chad Gilchrist and B.J. Davis, and defensive backs Jacoby Durant and Zaffe Kelly. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Pugh led the Bulldogs to a perfect 5-0 mark in conference play this season to claim the Meac championship outright. And they've clinched a bid to the Cricket Celebration Bowl Saturday, December 18th at noon on ABC. So congratulations to Buddy Pugh on a back-to-back Meac Coach of the Year.
Yeah, that's great. In fact, Penn State is you saw where Penn State handed out 10 years, $75 million to Franklin. I think Buddy Pugh is worth that, every bit of that. So South Carolina State, pony up. Time to.
And he's actually won conference championships. I mean, not to knock James Franklin, but why are these schools landing these exorbitant coaching salaries and handing them out to guys who, Franklin probably an exception, with for the most part haven't done a whole lot, Phil, especially on the national scale.
Well, that was my question too. I made the same point. I said he's a good coach. Is he a great coach?
No.
Is he a $7.5, $8 million a year coach? Well, apparently to Penn State he is. All right, got to hit a break. More of your phone calls coming up.
The Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl is back for 2021, showcasing the best South Carolina high school football has to offer. Get your tickets now at TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com and make your plans to join us in Myrtle Beach on December 11th in celebration of Palmetto State All-Stars from the Upstate, Midlands, PD, Grand Strand, and Low Country. Visit TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com for a full schedule of the week's events leading up to the game and Mr. Football South Carolina award presentation. Past winners include Stephen Gilmore, Marcus Lattimore, Jadavian Clowney, and Luke Doty.
It's definitely an honor, to be recognized as one of the best players in South Carolina. These guys are definitely deserving of the award as well. So it really is just an honor, to be named Mr. Football.
That's the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl, kicking off at Myrtle Beach High School's Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium, 12:30 Saturday, December 11th. Get your tickets now at TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com.
COVID-19 booster shots are now available for those 65 and older, long-term care residents, and those 18 and older with underlying medical conditions or at high risk. See if you're eligible at scdheck.gov/COVID-19 booster. Keep fighting the spread. Wear your face mask. Stay 6 feet apart. And get vaccinated. Join us and fight the spread. Visit scdheck.gov/vaxfax.
Hey folks, mortgage rates have dipped to their lowest levels in recent history, and with home values up in many areas, now may be the perfect time to refinance your home. Whether you're looking to lower your monthly payments, free up cash for home improvements, or just pay off your home faster, a quick call to the one and only Stuart Wingo of Ameris Bank could save you money. If you're looking for competitive rates and exceptional service, call Stuart Wingo. 803-319-1777. That's 803-319-1777. You will save money just like I have so many times over the years. You can also visit him, amerisbank.com/Stuart Wingo. Stuart Wingo, the man with the plan for all your mortgage needs.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dreams. And you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to futurescholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. Futurescholar.com.
All right, happy to report, according to what I'm seeing here on Twitter, that Citadel basketball coach Duggar Balcom released from the hospital in Durham and is back in Charleston after collapsing last night early in that ball game against Duke. Spent the night in the hospital. Yeah, don't know anything publicly about what the problem was. Just glad for him that he's okay and back in Charleston, and I guess we'll find out more as time progresses. But Bulldogs put up a really good fight last night at Duke for their coach and for themselves, and good to hear that Duggar is back in South Carolina.
He's a good coach, and he's a fiery coach. And that he was so excited about that opportunity to coach against what everything I've read, Phil, is sort of his idol, Mike Krzyzewski, and to really not be able to coach that game. I'm just thrilled he's on the way home and doing better.
Absolutely.
But I did want to follow up before I have to cut out of here for basketball. First off, I tried to flip jerseys. Todd Gurley, not Torrey Gurley, of course, played for the Gamecocks.
Yeah.
And also, looking back at James Franklin, he's won one Big Ten title, and it was back in 2016 when he finished first, went to the Rose Bowl. I mean, the last couple of years, 4-5, 7-4. You look at Mel Tucker, who's just signed a big deal with Michigan State. 2-5 his first year, 9-2 this year. Are schools so paranoid that another school is going to come in and grab a coach who's, as you pointed out, good, not elite?
Yeah.
That they've got to throw all this kind of money at that? I just don't understand it.
And then when they fire him in 2-3 years, they're going to have a huge buyout. Don't know what it is, but it's huge. And I mean, schools are just out of control. They have no qualms spending everybody else's money. I mean, this is not state money, obviously. It's their athletic department money that comes from contributors and Big Ten TV contracts. They got this money stored away, of course. They put it away for this sort of situation, whether it's contract increase or having to pay a buyout. And Franklin's name was being floated out there, of course. He was one of the first names mentioned with Southern Cal. And, of course, who gets those names out there but the agents? The agents play this game. The agents get on Twitter. Oftentimes they have their henchmen do it or they have pseudo names or whatever. Let's get our client's name out there and get people talking about him, get that buzz going. And, these ADs and I guess presidents and whatever, they see it, they hear it. And then the the agent gets in touch with them. Hey, now, so-and-so's coming after my man. If y'all want to keep him, this is what it's going to cost you, et cetera, et cetera. So, look, he's a good coach. Is he a great coach? Is he a $8.5, $9 million a year coach? I mean, that's championship level money for a guy who's never won a national championship. Have a good call, Chris. Back in a moment.
Before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jason Walker. In Wisconsin, Daryl Brooks Jr. making his first court appearance today. He's been charged with intentional homicide in the deaths of 5 people concerning that Christmas parade last Sunday. Dozens injured, including many children. And officials now say a 6th person, a child, has died. More charges now pending. President Biden is ordering 50 million barrels of oil to be released from America's strategic reserve to help bring down energy costs. Patrick D. Hahn with GasBuddy.com says the average price for a gallon heading into the holidays, $3.41 a gallon.
It has been holding relatively steady now for the last several weeks. Motorists may come back from the holiday weekend and face prices that are slightly lower by several cents per gallon as a result of today's announcement.
Also at townhall.com, United States working to win the release of the remaining abducted missionaries in Haiti. White House correspondent Greg Clugston has the story.
The White House welcomes news this week that 2 of the 17 Christian missionaries were released by their captors.
That is certainly news to be happy about.
Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the U.S. government is working around the clock to secure the release of the others.
We have a number of law enforcement who are there providing assistance and offering that.
17 people affiliated with Christian Aid Ministries of Ohio were abducted in Haiti more than a month ago. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Authorities now say a bus loaded with tourists going to Istanbul has crashed and caught fire in western Bulgaria, killing at least 45 people. There are 7 known survivors. Authorities say the bus hit a guardrail, crashed, and then caught fire. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Right now, I'm getting bombarded with TV ads, postcards, and emails about Medicare Advantage programs, saying what I may be eligible for and what might be available. But don't tell me everything there is to know. Tell me what I need to know.
Clear up your Medicare confusion with simple, easy answers at easymedicare.com. That's the letter E, the letter Z, Medicare.com. Go to easymedicare.com or speak with a licensed agent at 1-888-486-1662. EasyMedicare.com.
Speak with a licensed insurance agent or visit EasyMedicare.com Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. EST, Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. EST. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, has neither reviewed nor approved this information with regard to the federal Medicare program. EasyMedicare.com is powered by eTelequote Insurance Inc., a private duly licensed insurance agency appointed by Medicare Advantage, HMO, PPO, and PFFS plans and standalone prescription drug plans and insurance companies holding Medicare contracts approved by CMS. Enrollment in any plan for coverage is subject to insurance company approval. This information is not a complete description of benefits. Contact the plan for more information. Limitations, co-payments, and restrictions may apply. Benefits, premiums, and/or member cost share may change on January 1 of each year. You must continue paying your Medicare Part B premium.
Gambians are mourning the death of one of the country's best-known journalists.
Because Panderi Mbai helped expose the frequent killings, disappearances and torture in the Gambia, the former President Yahya Jammeh put the journalist high on his long list of enemies. 2 decades ago, when newspaper offices were being set ablaze and reporters locked up, Mr. Mbai moved to the United States and launched his online Freedom newspaper. Because Mr. Mbai did so much to expose atrocities in the Gambia, people referred to him as the voice of the country's first Truth Commission.
BBC correspondent Will Ross. Gun manufacturers asking a federal court in Massachusetts to dismiss a suit filed by Mexico's government, arguing U.S. gun manufacturers and distributors fueled violence in Mexico through their, quote, negligent and illegal commercial practices. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. A hard freeze overnight with very cold temps. A low dipping to 27 tomorrow. Chilly but sunny with the high temps topping out at 56. Thanksgiving Day will be warmer with a mix of sunshine and clouds and a high hitting 65. A slight 20% chance of a Friday morning shower. Bundle up. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. Ooh, you shouldn't have pressed that button. Oh. Now you get this.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's a Talking Tuesday brought to you by Touchstone Energy here on Sports Talk, the week of the South Carolina Clemson, South Carolina football game. Appreciate the phone calls thus far tonight. Want to get into the coaches here in just a moment. We'll have recruiting coming up for you as well. This is also a Tuesday night, and they are going to be releasing the next college football playoff ranking, and we'll just wait for the whole thing to come out and tell you what it is once it's all done. Let's see, what else did I want to mention to you? Oh, college basketball. Earlier today, Texas A&M 57-50 over Butler, and South Carolina Wofford just getting underway. A.J. Wilson is starting for the Gamecocks tonight. UNC Asheville is playing at North Carolina. Upstate is at South Carolina State. Virginia at Providence. Kennesaw State at Wake Forest. You heard Berge from the Bahamas. Valparaiso against Coastal. Cincinnati against Arkansas. 5-0 versus 4-0. Be a good matchup. Playing that in Kansas City. And Northwestern has beaten Georgia 78-62. And Georgia is now 2-4 on the season. Slow start for the Bulldogs. The good feeling from their football team not carrying over to the men's basketball team. Northwestern wins it 78-62. All right, Talking Tuesday here on Sports Talk. Let's hear from the coaches. We'll start with Shane Beamer. He's got the home field advantage. He's also got 11.5 points in his pocket if he was a gambling man, which he's certainly not on his own team, but others are gambling people who might take those 11.5 points. I think as I sit here right now, I would take the 11.5 points. Yeah, I think I would take the 11.5 points and go to town with that. I'd feel pretty good about that. So here's Shane Beamer from his press conference earlier today talking about this big game in Columbia, his team, and, of course, the Clemson Tigers.
This is a fantastic Clemson team that is playing their best football. Clearly, they've gotten better as the season's gone on. Won 4 in a row, I believe, 6 out of their last 7. You look at what they did against Wake Forest. I think Wake was ranked in the top 10 in the country, I believe, going into that game last weekend, and Clemson dominated them. 333 yards rushing, 543 yards of offense. 7 of 11 on third down last week. 2 running backs that went over 100 yards, not just over 100, but one went for 191 and the other one went for 113. Quarterback continues to get better every week. Defensively, they're fantastic. I mean, they're all over the place. So much respect watching them play, just how multiple they are. I mean, I don't know how they coach it all because, I mean, they do so much defensively. It's impressive to watch. And when they're disruptive, when you're ranked in the top 4 in the country defensively in sacks and tackles for loss, that's pretty amazing. So disruptive, to say the least, with their defense. They got fantastic personnel. Offensively, they're getting better each week. Their last 4 games, they've scored 30, 44, and 48 in their last 4 games. So they are certainly peaking at the right time. I think Dabo has done an amazing job this season. I saw where Dave Clawson at Wake Forest said it may have been his best coaching job that he's done at Clemson, and I disagree. So Dabo was very kind and mentioned something about me in regards to being the coach of the year in this conference. I think you could certainly make the case that he should be the coach of the year in their conference with the injuries they've overcome all over the field. So many new faces going into the season, and struggle by their standards a little bit earlier in the season to just continue to get better each week, to be sitting here at 8 wins, and they still have a realistic opportunity to win the ACC this season if a couple things go the right way for them this weekend. And if they get into that game in Charlotte, fully expect them to win that if they do. So it's a testament to the great job they've done. And I've got a ton of respect for him. I consider him a friend. He's been very good to me since I took over here at Carolina. His wife has been very good to my wife, Emily, and I think a lot of them. And we're both competitors, and looking forward to a fantastic environment Saturday night. Excited to be back a part of this rivalry. I've been a part of some great ones in my time here as a coach, I should say, starting with, when I was here as an assistant coach before. I think it's pretty cool that Dabo's the head coach now, because I can remember when we were both assistant coaches here. He at Clemson, he was the recruiting coordinator and assistant coach. I was the recruiting coordinator and assistant coach here. He was the interim head coach. I remember going up there on a rainy day in Clemson, and they beat us, and he ended up getting the job the next day. And the rest is history. So pretty cool that it's kind of come full circle in some ways, that we were both previously assistant coaches at our schools, and now we're both the head coach. Done a fantastic job there for sure. And it's great to be right back in the middle of this rivalry. It's one of the great ones in all of college athletics. I've been a part of the Egg Bowl in Mississippi. I've been a part of Oklahoma, Texas, and Virginia Tech, and Georgia Tech, but this one is right up there at the top, and I can't wait for Saturday night. Like always, we're going to need a great week of preparation. Got a big challenge, but excited for the opportunity. So with that, be glad to take any questions you guys and ladies have.
Shane, when you think about this rivalry when you were here last time, are there some things on the field, some moments that stand out to you that are locked back in there?
Oh, yeah. 2007, I can remember watching their field goal sail through the uprights that kept us out of a bowl game in 2007. 2008 Dabo got the job in 10.
No, that was the year.
That was the year he got it. So 2008, rainy day, he gets the job. 2009. I remember all the talk that week was you can't kick it to C.J. Spiller, and I was coaching special teams. You can't kick it to C.J. Spiller when you kick off. And I'm like, well, I'll be dang. I mean, they got Jacoby Ford and Andre Ellington back there in front of them. Like, who do you want me to kick it to? And we kicked it to him on the opening kickoff. DJ and Stephon and all those guys were excited, and then we had a penalty because we were offsides. And I had a voice in my head that a coach told me a long time ago, nothing good happens on a re-kick. And I knew in my mind, don't do it again, Shane. Don't do it again. But then you had DJ Swearinger and those guys are like, kick it to him again. We'll go cover it again. We kick it to him again. I think he went 85 yards for a touchdown the other way. So that with me. Thanks for bringing that one up. Won the game, thank God. And then we went up there in 2010, and that was obviously a fantastic season because we knew we were going to play in the SEC championship game the next week, and I went up there on Saturday night and got after them pretty good. I remember Antonio Allen. I think I can still see it in my head. I think we brought an edge pressure off the edge, and he peeled with the back and intercepted it and ran it back for a touchdown. And that one night, my last time being in that rivalry. So yes, some good moments and not so good moments, but great players and I was, when I left here was 2010 and Clemson was just at that point getting ready to take off because I went to Virginia Tech and then we played on the next year in the ACC championship game and obviously what they've done since then speaks for itself. But yeah, some good memories, but a lot of not so good ones, unfortunately.
Earlier today, Coach Sweeney was saying that he remembers your son asking him for some gear several years ago. Wondering if your son still has that Clemson gear.
He better not.
And what that relationship has been like with you and Dabo. Your son used to be a Clemson fan and all that stuff.
Yeah, appreciate Dabo telling that story in his press conference. First of all, the relationship is fantastic. I think that the world of him. He, like I said, he was an assistant coach at Clemson, and I was an assistant coach here, and And we both are kind of tied to Woody McCorvey, who's on the staff at Clemson. And Woody was the man responsible for me going from the University of Tennessee as a graduate assistant to Mississippi State. Woody was a coach at Tennessee at the time and took me to Mississippi State and recommended me to Sylvester Croom, who I didn't know. And got tied in with Coach Croom, and the rest is history. But Dabo and Coach Sweeney and Woody obviously go way back. So we have that mutual friend. And then I've just enjoyed getting to know Dabo over the years. I've always had a ton of respect for him. And then throughout this process, he was, fantastic to me. Reached out to me when my name was getting mentioned for this job, to say, I hope you get it and it would be great. And I talked to him. I think I did my press conference here on that Monday, and literally I think twice that week after the press conference, I talked to him. Even during the season, I mean, it's not like I'm calling him weekly, but we've had a couple of phone conversations during the season. I actually called him earlier this season, and it was in the middle of his radio show, which I didn't know he did on Monday night. So he literally called me back during the commercial break and said, this is probably the first time in the history of this rivalry that both head coaches are talking during the other one's radio show. But it was something that I just had a question about. So I think a lot of him and his family. Kathleen's awesome. Like I said, I know they do things the right way, and I hope he knows that we're going to do things the right way in this program. And he's in it for the right reasons. And I think the thing with him is he's very genuine, and what you see is what you get. In regards to Hunter, my son being at Oklahoma, obviously he was an Oklahoma fan, but for whatever reason, I don't know, I didn't do it, but he started liking Trevor Lawrence and Clemson, and he left. So obviously when Clemson was ranked number one a lot of those years, he jumps on the bandwagon. So he was a Clemson. He liked watching Clemson. I don't want to go so far as to call him a Clemson fan, but he was playing flag football in Norman and was the quarterback for the flag football team. So he had a pretty good little flag football game where he threw a touchdown pass and ran a touchdown pass. So I sent the video to Dabo because Hunter wanted me to send it to him because he was going to go play for him one day, he told me. And this is before I got this job, clearly. All right. And so ever since then, Dabo texted me back and told him how awesome he was and he was going to come recruit him. So when my name was being mentioned for this job, Dabo, he called me. I think they were getting ready to play Virginia Tech, and he called me. It was like a Wednesday afternoon, and he's like, look, I want to wish you luck. I hope you get it. But my only question is, if you do get this job, who's Hunter coming to play football for in 10 years? And so that's it, and Hunter gets a kick out of it as well. But again, think a lot of him and what he's about, and a lot of the coaches in that program. Danny Pearman worked for my dad at Virginia Tech for a long time. I've known Woody for a long time, and a lot of those guys on that staff. He loves telling that story now.
You mentioned earlier how much
And I know that Clemson's had some injuries since then, but they haven't had that many on defense. I mean, you watch Murphy and Thomas, the way they rush the passer, and I got so much respect for the linebackers and the way they play. I mean, and the defensive backs. I mean, they're really, really good. They're really, really athletic. They're really, really well coached. They're really, really disruptive. We know what Wake Forest is about offensively, and it seems like they were in the backfield before the quarterback wanted to throw the football every single time Saturday watching that game. So it's certainly a challenge, and they're really good. They're really well coached, and then they're just so multiple. I mean, normally you could, go out and say, okay, we're going to run these plays, and when we line up in this formation, they're going to be in this front, and there's a pretty good chance they're going to be in this coverage. And you're probably going to get these 2 or 3 pressures out of it. With these guys, I mean, it's like you got to be careful in what you do offensively because you can't practice everything against every look that you're going to get from Coach Venables and the defense. I mean, they're so multiple. You just got to be really sound in what you do and be able to execute the plays you know how to against a multitude of fronts. I mean, you sit there and look at 22. I mean, you don't know where he's going to line up. He may be a defensive end. He may be an outside linebacker. He may be an inside linebacker. He may be a safety. It's challenging. So we've really got to do a great job of just communicating and making sure we're all on the same page. I mean, they're going to get some negative plays against us. I mean, we don't expect every single play to necessarily be a positive play. I mean, they're good. We just got to make sure that we make enough plays in the run game and pass game ourselves to be able to move the football, because not many teams have been able to do that consistently over and over and over again.
And in your opinion, is Thanksgiving a holiday or a meal?
Thanksgiving is a holiday, in my opinion. Good question.
Touche. Shane Beamer. We'll hear from Dabo Swinney coming up after the bottom of the hour break. Let me do a couple of quick things over at Colonial Life Arena. Wofford is leading South Carolina 24-16. 11:47 to play in the half. Terriers are shooting it well, 5 of 8 from 3, 7 of 13 overall, 53.8%. The Gamecocks are shooting it well overall, 7 of 11, but 2 of 4 from three-point range. And the Gamecocks are being led by Stevenson's having a good night. Told you he'd start shooting the ball. 4 of 4 and 2 of 2 from 3. And Bigelow has 8 points for Wofford. So good ball game going on over there at the Colonial Life Arena. Meantime, we have the new college football playoff ranking. Clemson is in it at number 23. Make their first appearance in the college football playoff ranking. So Arkansas, Houston, Clemson, Texas, San Antonio, and San Diego State, that's 25 through 21. And then NC State, Utah, Wake Forest, Pittsburgh, Iowa, 20 through 16. 15 through 11. Am I giving you a headache going backwards? Okay. Texas A&M, Wisconsin, BYU, Michigan State, and Oregon at 11. Then at 10 is Oklahoma. Mississippi is 9. Baylor is 8. Oklahoma State is 7. Number 6 is Notre Dame. Michigan is 5. Cincinnati makes history at number 4. Already had made history, making more history. Alabama 3. Ohio State 2. Georgia is 1. So, of course, what you've got is this. Georgia's going to play Alabama in the SEC championship game. Assuming that Alabama doesn't stumble against Auburn, that is a pseudo playoff game. If Alabama wins, Georgia and Alabama will both go. If Georgia wins, Alabama, in all likelihood, will be out. They've never taken a team with 2 losses. So this is going to be a test, too, of how deeply they believe in Cincinnati if Cincinnati finishes out with wins in its last game and in its championship game. And then, of course, you've got Ohio State and Michigan. And both are sitting there with 1 loss. And they're going to play this weekend. And so the loser is going to be out. And so the team that's sitting there probably in a very good place right now would be Notre Dame at 6. Now, Notre Dame would appreciate Michigan finding a way to beat Ohio State, right? Because Ohio State would drop, Michigan would move up, and Notre Dame, if they beat Stanford out at Stanford this weekend, they would still need some help. They would still need Georgia to beat Alabama, because they're going to need 2 to drop. They're going to need Georgia to beat Alabama, and they're going to need Michigan to beat Ohio State. That'll knock Ohio State out. That would help them take one of those spots. Unless, here's the thing now, the committee, if Cincinnati wins out, then they can't have anybody jump Cincinnati or all hell will break loose, right? And, they can't lean on weak schedule and all this sort of stuff. I mean, Cincinnati's there at number 4. If they win out, you will be blown up by the college football woke crowd for sure if you jump somebody over Cincinnati. So I think for Notre Dame to get in, what I said would have to happen is going to have to happen. And I think Georgia would have to eliminate Alabama, assuming that would eliminate Alabama. Now, what if what if it's a great ball game and Georgia like kicks a field goal to win by 1 and Alabama plays a great game? It's going to be hard for that committee to close the door on Alabama. But with 2 losses, I just think you have to. Michigan, Ohio State, again, each with a loss. And I think they'd have an easier time of it, obviously, sending that loser out the door. Ohio State wins, they stay in there, and Michigan doesn't get in. Michigan wins, then they probably get in there. And if you're the committee and you see them beating Ohio State, do they jump ahead of Cincinnati? Do you move Cincinnati up? Notre Dame beats Stanford. Yeah, you can't move Notre Dame ahead of Cincinnati, right? Because Cincinnati beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame, if that comes into play. So, Cincinnati looks like it's in a good place as long as it doesn't stub its toe. Who they've got to finish up? SMU? Is that their last game? SMU and then their championship game? Is that what you got, Pat?
No, they play East Carolina this weekend.
Oh, East Carolina. That's in Greenville.
That's right. And they played SMU this past weekend.
That was this past weekend.
Handled them.
All right. Mike Houston sitting there just waiting for an opportunity to make a big name for himself and his program at East Carolina. Bet you that place should be filled up. And so we'll see what happens. But there you go. That's the way it lines up at this particular time. Again, the top 4 in order: Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, and Cincinnati. Who would have ever thought that? And then you've got Michigan and Notre Dame. That's your top 6. All right. After the break, we'll hear from Shane Beamer. We'll also have recruiting for you as well, and update basketball. It's now 26-24, Wofford over South Carolina. Gamecocks have cut into the deficit there just a little bit. And let's check some other scores for you here. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll do that after the break. So don't go away. Sports Talk across the state here on the Sports Talk Media Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
There was just a lack of Black women, business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives. Growing up, I didn't see that. I figured out that I wanted to be a photographer for women of color. I found my niche and I'm sticking to it.
Each year, the South Carolina Education Lottery raises millions of dollars for scholarships and grants that help students prepare for their dream career. Just like Kristen, your passion is our purpose.
We've got Major Billy Downer with us here from the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, hunting season is upon us. How do we stay safe in a field?
There are 3 rules that every hunter should follow when they're hunting with a firearm. Number 1, treat every firearm due to respect a loaded gun. If you treat your firearm as if it's loaded, you'll always, number 2, keep that muzzle pointed in a safe direction. And number 3, when you decide to pull the trigger, make sure of your target, identify it, and know what's beyond it in case you miss.
And remember, life's better outdoors. Visit dnr.sc.gov for more.
If you are pregnant, DHEC and the CDC strongly recommend the COVID-19 vaccine. The dangers of the Delta variant, increased risk of severe illness and pregnancy complications are too great to ignore. Pregnant women with COVID-19 are at greater risk for hospitalization and for critical care, including ventilation and admission to the ICU. Pregnant women with COVID-19 are more likely to have major pregnancy complications. Visit scdhec.gov/vaxlocator to find a vaccine near you to protect your unborn baby and yourself.
Yeah, it's the committee. I mean, by putting Cincinnati in there at number 4 now, Pat, I don't see how, if they beat East Carolina Saturday and then they beat Houston in their league championship game, and Houston's a good team, but you cannot promote anybody ahead of them at this particular time. No matter what the rest of the teams do, I don't think you can. I think they will fall under unbelievable heat and criticism all across the country.
Could not agree with you more. And yeah, Cincinnati does still have 2 tough games remaining. East Carolina this weekend, who, remember, played a tough game against the Gamecocks earlier this year. They're 7-4 and sitting third in their conference. And then they would meet Houston in the conference championship game, who's won 10 in a row and is also undefeated in the conference. So
I'll tell you what, they won't find, assuming that East Carolina fills it up, and I got to believe folks are excited about what Mike Houston and the Pirates are doing here of late. That's a tough place to play.
Nationally televised 3:30 game as well on ABC. So you got to think they'll be very excited.
Absolutely. I look for that to be what's the spread? You happen to know off the top of your head? Yeah. Look for that to be a pretty good ball game. All right, we'll hit another break here at the bottom of the hour. We'll come back and hear from Gamecock coach Shane Beamer. Be right back.
Are you worn out from wall-to-wall political talk? Instead of hearing more about the stuff in Washington that's mostly out of your control, I'll give you the tools to actually take control of your money and your life. Dave Ramsey here. Join me right here on The Point. I'm live and taking your calls weekdays at 2 p.m. I'll teach you how to get on a written plan that actually works, get out of debt, and build wealth. Weekdays at 2 p.m. The Dave Ramsey Show at 100.7 The Point.
A well-regulated humidor being necessary to the preservation of a cigar, the right of the people to keep and enjoy cigars shall not be infringed. For those who love a great cigar and want to spend time with others who are like-minded, the Cigar Militia offers the experience you're looking for. We're located in the Colonial Village next to the Melting Pot. The Cigar Militia offers exceptional cigars from around the world, staff to assist you in your selections, private cigar lockers, and a lounge where members can relax and enjoy.
With SRN News, I'm Jason Walker. Prosecutors in Wisconsin have now charged Daryl Brooks Jr. with intentional homicide in the deaths of 5 people at that Christmas parade Sunday. Dozens more have been hurt, including many children. We've also learned now prosecutors say a 6th person, a child, has died. More charges are pending. President Biden is ordering 50 million barrels of oil to be released from America's strategic reserve. That to help bring down energy costs. The action is aimed at global energy markets and also to help Americans who are coping with higher inflation and prices all the way around. Authorities say a bus with tourists going to Istanbul has crashed and caught fire in western Bulgaria. 45 people have died. There are 7 known survivors. This is SRN News.
It's that time of the year. Shooter's Choice is in the holiday spirit. Phenomenal deals on firearms, ammo, scopes, and accessories. The doors open Black Friday at 6 a.m. and great deals last all weekend long. Want to learn more about these deals? Check out Shooter's Choice on Facebook and Instagram for more info. But remember, the best deals are in the house for Black Friday. Visit Shooter's Choice in West Columbia, Sunset Boulevard. The best selection, the best prices for the holiday season. Make it your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hey, it's Jay with the Melting Pot. Is it me, or does life speed by so much faster this time of year? Your calendar fills up so quickly. Then before you know it, you're scratching your head when you see Christmas decorations for sale at Lowe's. How do you stay connected? Well, thanks for asking. We have the answer. It's fondue. Come in for reconnecting time. Have 4 courses, or just chocolate, or just cheese. We are here for you. 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard. The Melting Pot.
Deer season is here and we all want to be successful, but our safety should come first.
A simple way to stay safe is to wear blaze orange as you walk to and from your stand.
Probably the best way to stay safe is to wear a safety harness.
Put it on, hook it up to a lifeline, and let the tree keep you safe from a fall during your hunt.
Lastly, always use your binoculars and not your rifle scope to look at and identify things while you're deer hunting. Woods and Water, South Carolina, your host Roger and Taylor Metz want you to be around to enjoy many deer seasons to come.
Just remember, the accident you might prevent, the life you might save, just might be your own.
Hey, Tiger fans, 2022 Clemson baseball season tickets are currently on sale. Coach Monty Lee and your Clemson Tiger baseball team open the season on February 18th, and you can be there for every game by purchasing your season tickets. Home series include matchups against Miami, Florida State, NC State, Georgia Tech, as well as our annual home games against South Carolina and Georgia, and many more. So log on to ClemsonTigers.com to purchase your Clemson baseball tickets and come back home to Clemson.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
We'll hear that a good bit on Saturday night, along with Tiger Rag. Great thing about the ball game, both, of course, the USC full band will be there. The full Clemson band will be there too. It's the only time now that they've used to be full bands traveled everywhere with their teams, but you know, with all the money teams are making from their television contracts, especially SEC, ACC, you know, they claim poor mouth and economic reasons they cut back on the full bands traveling. You don't get that anymore game to game. You used to. You don't get that anymore. But we'll have that for the South Carolina Clemson game. Both full bands will be there. That'll be pretty cool. They do a great job, of course. Basketball. It's 30-29 USC now on top of Wofford. Gamecocks have come back after trailing, and the Gamecocks are being led by Stevenson, having himself a ball game. 15 points. He's got half of the Gamecock points. 6 of 7 from the floor, 3 of 4 from 3. 15 points in 11 minutes for him. It's great production. Klesmit and Bigelow have 8 each for Wofford. Wofford's cooled off now. They were hot early, but they're only at 39%. And Gamecocks are shooting 57%. And the Gamecocks are winning on the boards 12-10. That game goes back and forth. Now Wofford hits another 3. They go up 32-30. Back and forth they go. We continue with this Talking Tuesday brought to you by Touchstone Energy. We heard from Shane Beamer, the home team coach, Saturday. Now to the visitor. It is Dabo Swinney. I said earlier the Tigers are on a 3-game winning streak. They've actually won 4 in a row. Thank you, Pat, for correcting me on that. I forgot, they beat UConn in there, and they beat Florida State, and they beat Louisville, and they beat Wake Forest. That gives them 4 in a row. So they've gotten their act together. They're 8-3, trying to get to 9 wins and then to 10 wins in a bowl game. And if you just tuned in, they're now 23rd in the college football playoff ranking. And outside of the USC game, this is no factor. They're still hoping that things will work out Friday and Saturday, and they can backdoor their way into the ACC championship game. Stranger things have happened. So here is Dabo Swinney talking about the big game, his team, and the Gamecocks.
Excited this week's finally here. Really proud of our team for a great win this past week and really finishing up our home schedule undefeated. That's a great accomplishment for this group, and excited about the state championship being back in play. I think everyone missed it last year, both sides, so have opportunity to get this game back going. An unbelievable, long-standing tradition in college football. So look forward to heading down to Columbia. I know it'll be a great game and a great environment. It always is when we go down there, and so we look forward to that. And this is a good team. They're playing with a lot of confidence. They're playing physical. They're playing with a ton of effort, and I think that's a reflection of what Shane has been able to do in a short time. They're 5-1 at home, so they played well there and played with a lot of confidence, and so it's a good team that has battled every single week. And one of the things that I think is impressive about them is what they've done in the fourth quarter against opponents. You know, they've outscored their opponents in the fourth quarter, even games where they were down, and it would have been easy for them to maybe give in a little bit. They've never done that all year. They've competed, and so I think that again says a lot about what Coach Beamer's been able to do in a short amount of time. But it's a good football team. They've found a little bit of an identity offensively. Their quarterback 15 has kind of settled in and settled them down, and he's playing with confidence. He's got good poise and throws the ball well. But they have found the best formula for them to be successful. And man, they're running that football. And it's a very physical group, physical running backs. They got 4 guys. They play all those guys at different times. They've all had their moments throughout the year, but 11 and 20 are the 2 guys that have kind of gotten them over the hump in a run game here as of late, and they're just incredibly physical players. 11, you're trying to figure out who some of these guys are, and you're getting ready for the personnel. And I think, it makes a lot of sense when you look at him. I mean, he signed with Florida State, and he was a linebacker, played as a linebacker. And then he went to a junior college, and then went to South Carolina playing running back. So he plays running back like a linebacker. He has that type of mentality, and you see that. He's very physical. And then, he's 6.2 or carry. And then, 20, obviously, he led the SEC in rushing last year. So this is a really physical group of backs. We're very physical tight ends that do a great job. And then, their receivers are emerging. And 6 has become a playmaker. They get him the ball in all kind of different ways, whether it be down the field, double move, screen game, whatever. But he has really become a great playmaker for them. And they've just got some other guys that you see emerging with some confidence in 5 and 7 and 13. 7 is a speed guy. He's got a lot of juice to him. So this is just a group, like I said, that's playing with more confidence and have really kind of bought into what their identity is for this team. And then defensively, same thing. Early in the season, they were doing some things structurally that I think, they had some confusion and things like that, and they gave up some big plays and got them behind. But they've really, since the Tennessee game, have kind of settled down and kind of settled in on what their identity is defensively as well. And I think that's been a reflection of a great coaching job, by their defensive staff. So very good group up front. These are physical guys. Number 1 is a projected first-round draft pick. 6 is an outstanding player, 99. All those guys, they got a deep rotation. 15's a great player. They play a bunch of guys up front. They've settled in on the backers in their secondary. And, again, just they've created an identity, and that's what's given them a chance to be successful. And you look at what they've done these past few weeks, beating Auburn, beating Florida. They go on the road to Missouri and, kind of got behind. And, man, they came back and had a chance in that game late, 31-28, late in the game there. So just a team that really is playing together as a team very well. They've been very opportunistic. I think they've scored 4 times on defense. They've blocked 3 punts, blocked a field goal. So, from our standpoint, this game is critical that we take care of the ball, not give them short fields, and that we do a good job in special teams. Their kicker is excellent. He's 93%. He rarely ever misses. So, again, trying to keep these guys backed up on a long field and try to, win the matchup when it comes to being able to run the football. That'll be a critical part of this game. But it's a good team, and we're excited about the challenge. And then also just, for us this week is a special week. It's Thanksgiving. We all got a lot to be thankful for. And, look forward to having a great week with our guys and building toward a fun moment Saturday night.
You touched on it briefly in the opening statement, just to have this rivalry game back after the hiatus last year because of COVID. What does it mean just to be able to play this game again after the break last year?
Yeah, is this the 118th game? Is that what it is? 118? 118th game? I mean, that's a long time. And so, this game, I I have a great appreciation for rivalry games anyway, growing up in Alabama, for 33 years there and living the Alabama-Auburn experience. And that was just kind of a way of life. And that's one of the things when I came to Clemson, I was thankful for. And I learned really quick, this is a great rivalry and a lot of historic rivalry. And it means a lot, it means a lot to the people in this state. It's one of those games where, it's rarely do you have you might have a husband, wife, Clemson, South Carolina, and it's no big deal when they're playing Tennessee or Georgia or Missouri or whatever. But in this state, when Clemson, South Carolina play, it impacts everyone. And, they're going to talk about it at church. They're going to talk about it at dinner. They're going to talk about it at their Thanksgiving get-togethers. And, because it's just a part of the DNA of South Carolina. And I think it's really fun to be a part of those things. It's better when you win, that's for sure. But it's fun to be a part of a rivalry game and all that comes with it.
You won 6 in a row in the series. Before that, you lost 5 of them. So what was the difference? What do you see as the difference between a kind of a long losing streak versus a long winning streak?
Turnovers. I mean, that 5-game losing streak, we turned it over 15 times to their 3. 5 games, we turned it over 15 times. They turned it over 3. And I think the last one in 2013, I think we had 6 turnovers in that game. So, in a game like this, that'll beat you.
What's your relationship with Coach Beamer like?
Oh, it's great. I've known Shane a long time. I always had great respect for him. I mean, that's not ever going to change. That's, unfortunate part of this business is, there's a lot of people that hate me and they've never met me. They don't know me from Adam because I wear a paw on my shirt, and that just comes with it. When I first got here, you go on the road recruiting, nobody knows me, first time out. But I'm used to it because that's the way it was at Alabama Auburn too. You walk into a school, some people are really happy to see you because you're the guy from Clemson. And then other people are like, oh, you're the guy from Clemson. Yeah. And you get that. They don't know you. So that comes with the territory from a fan standpoint. But, from a professional standpoint, just because somebody wears a logo, that doesn't mean I can't like them anymore. I mean, I've always liked Shane. Shane he's a great coach. He's a great man. Love his family. Love his dad. I've always had a great relationship with his mom and dad. And so I got a lot of respect for him, and I compete against a lot of friends, and every game's a rivalry because they're trying to beat you and you're trying to beat them. Every single week you're playing somebody. And a lot of those people that we play are friends. That doesn't change just because, he's the head coach of South Carolina now. I've got a lot of respect for him.
How often did y'all communicate over the years before he got?
Yeah, just obviously when he was at South Carolina as an assistant, we were both assistants, so see him a lot. And then he was with Woody at Mississippi State, and got to know him, way back then. And then just over the years, and then he was at Georgia, communicate, text, and then he was at Oklahoma, and we'd stay in touch. And his son actually became a Clemson fan. I'm sure he would still tell you that. His son was he was a huge Clemson fan. I can't wait to see him. I'm going to remind him of that when I see him. He better be out in the field, be looking for him. But, I remember one year he was in Oklahoma, and, but he wanted like a Clemson jersey and this and that. So I sent him some stuff, and Shane sent me a video of him. And he's got a beautiful family. But his little boy, and we had a nice laugh on that when he was taking the job. Because I talked to him a couple times before he got the job, and I said, you're going to have a problem on your hand. It's going to be a real problem when your son comes to Clemson. It's going to be an issue for you in this state. So, thankfully you got a few years to figure that out. But Yeah. So we've always communicated and stayed in touch and collaborated over the years a few times.
Can you relate to what he's doing now at the start of his career in South Carolina? It sounds like he wants to make that his only stop, like you want to make Clemson your only stop. And he's building up on positive traits of the school and the university continually, like you did when you got started at Clemson. Do you see a lot of similarities in style and way he's handling his stuff, the way you handle your stuff?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not close enough to it on a daily basis to really answer that. All I can say is, from a big picture standpoint, is I think he's doing a great job with his team, and trying to build team, trying to establish, core values, and it's not easy to do that. And he's got a clear philosophy, I think, of how he wants it to look like and a vision for what he wants it to look like, and just kind of stay in the course to that. And that's not easy. There's tough decisions along the way. There's setbacks, all those type of things. But I think the biggest thing with Shane is he's a positive guy. And I think that he just keeps looking at it as half full. And I think that's what it takes.
All right, Dabo Sweeney, comments from earlier today. Stay tuned. We got a little more for you in just a couple of minutes. Let's do the recruiting report very quickly. Brought to you by Seawells. They're closed the rest of the week for the holiday. Get back to them next week, Monday through Friday, for their delicious daily luncheon buffet. And for the best in catering, of course, it's Seawells. 803-771-7385 is the number. So checked in with 2023 tight end Ethan Davis out of Sewanee, Georgia, 6'5", 200. Sounds like the next Oscar Delp. South Carolina's making a strong run at him. Eric Kimry, Shane Beamer, been on him very hard. USC's in the final 7. Georgia, Penn State, Florida State, Cincinnati, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. Also, he's going to announce on December the 12th, so it's coming quickly. He's never been to USC, but he says he's got a good relationship going there with the coaches. They talk to him a lot, like once a week, but he hears from the other schools as well regularly. 45 catches, 579 yards, and 6 touchdowns this season. Tight end by name, but can split out, kind of play in the slot, that kind of receiver, big guy who can get down the field. He's been to games this season at Georgia, Florida State, Ole Miss, Tennessee. He's also a basketball prospect. Clemson made the top 10 with 2023 linebacker Malik Bryant, 6'3", 210 of IMG Academy. Arizona State, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Maryland, Oregon, Florida, and Miami, the others. And 2023 running back Jarvis Green of Dutch Fork plans to visit USC this weekend. There you go. That's a look at recruiting tonight here on Sports Talk. We'll hit the break, and as we go to the break, I'll tell you that the halftime, they're also at the break at the CLA, 42-38, South Carolina with the lead on Wofford. What a shooting half for the Gamecocks, about 57%, 6 of 11 from 3, and Eric Stevenson with 18 of the Gamecocks' 42 points. Next highest score for the Gamecocks is the freshman Taquan Woodley with 6. So it's been the Eric Stevenson show tonight for the Gamecocks. Back in a moment.
The Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl is back for 2021, showcasing the best South Carolina high school football has to offer. Get your tickets now at TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com and make plans to join us in Myrtle Beach on December 11th in celebration of Palmetto State All-Stars from the Upstate, Midlands, PD, Grand Strand, and Low Country. Visit TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com for a full schedule of the week's events leading up to the game and Mr. Football South Carolina award presentation.
Hunter Helms in at quarterback, drops straight back in the end zone, fires deep. He's got a receiver off the seam. 45, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown for Omarion Dollison.
That's the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl, kicking off at Myrtle Beach High School's Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium, 12:30 Saturday, December 11th. Get your tickets now at TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com.
Hi, I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and I've got a great gift idea that requires zero shopping.
the gift of college savings. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan makes it easy. Grandparents, friends, and family can all contribute to a Future Scholar account and know that they're providing a gift that will last a lifetime. If you're looking for the perfect gift this holiday season, look no further. Learn more about the smart, easy way to save and give this holiday season at futurescholar.com.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, covering Lawrence, Clinton, Joanna, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
Life. It has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsibly.sc.com.
Relax on and off the field with Founders Federal Credit Union. With services like Founders Online and the Founders app, you'll enjoy all the perks of a big bank with local personalized service. If you're looking for low rates, look to Founders. Not a member? Joining Founders Federal Credit Union is easy. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our more than 30 office locations to see if you qualify for membership. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Well, I hate to be that.
You know what? No 3-game winning streak's going to change that. It's not the first time they've won 3 in a row, and it won't be the last time. It might be 50 more years, but you know, it'll probably happen again. But you know, I've gone out of my way to be complimentary to them and complimentary to Coach Spurrier. Got a lot of respect for Coach Spurrier, but I'm going to defend my program. I'm going to defend my players, my coaches, and I'm going to defend Clemson University because I believe in it. And you know, I just think that. I think he's exactly right. I think that they're not Clemson, again, they never will be. You're looking at the best era in the history of South Carolina football right now. I think they just had their second 10-win season, and you know they won a championship in 1969 and the 2010 SEC East. And this rivalry, you know, there's a lot of rivalries out there. This is more of a domination. And that's the fact. My kids, grandkids won't live long enough to ever see this really become a rivalry. You know, it is what it is. So, you know, again, I got respect for their program, but you know, South Carolina's not Clemson. There's a lot of differences. You know, this is a place that's won a national title, 17 conference championships, 2 division titles. Heck, we've won more bowl games than they've ever even been to. I think our program's got 100+ more wins than South Carolina. You know, that's reality. You know, I mean, you're looking at, and I've been complimented. That's the best era they've had in 115 years of South Carolina football is right now, and they've done a great job. I mean, a great job, and they've whipped our butt in the last 3 years. It's my job to change that. You know, Coach Spurrier's been there 7 years. You know, and after 5 years, I think he had 35 wins. and I think in a new contract and all that kind of stuff. And after 5 years at Clemson, if I've only got 35 wins, there's going to be a new coach here. And you know what? There should be, because there's a different standard. And so he's exactly right. They ain't Alabama, they ain't LSU, and they're certainly not Clemson. And that's why Carolina's in Chapel Hill and USC's in California. And the university in this state always has been, always will be Clemson. And it's right here in Clemson, South Carolina. So you can print that, tweet that.
Okay. He was on his game that night. Oh, the good old days. Not today. It was kisses and hugs, the ones you love tonight between the two coaches, and that's fine too. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.